learn some new things and we're going to start our first project. So your first project actually is folded in half, as you can see. I'm going to end up taping the edges of your first project, and it's going to be a portfolio. Does anybody know what a portfolio is? No. A portfolio is a place where you keep all of your artwork that is finished. So whenever you're done with your artwork, you'll stick it inside your portfolio. And your portfolio is actually an artwork too. So it's going to be like here, I have one that I taped already here. It's like a pocket like this. And you stick stuff in it. Okay, so your name is written on there really big because we're going to learn how to do a new type of art that you've probably heard of before. But first, one of the most important things in 5th grade going into 6th grade is you need to know the elements of art, okay? So raise your hand if you've heard these words before. Line, shape, color, form, value, texture, space. I guarantee you're going to have a quiz on this in 6th grade if you decide to take art in 6th grade. So we got to make sure we kind of know these in 5th grade. So line, super easy, right? It's when you make a mark on a page, a line. Sometimes your lines will close to create a shape, okay? Sometimes you might make a shape that is 3D. If you see this picture right here, you can see it's 3D, like if you're using clay, that's called form. You can say form. Sometimes you're going to use the space of your paper in an interesting way, and that's called using space. Say space. And then texture is, let me hide this, is how something feels. So if something's rough, bumpy, smooth, that's texture. Value is how light or dark something is, and you guys know what color is. So today we're going to be using shape and line. Line, shape. All right, so shapes. So you can make your own shape. You can make a shape on accident, like that first one is one on accident because they just crossed itself. And then today we're going to be making some crazy shapes on our own. We're making graffiti, baby. So raise your hand if you've heard of graffiti before.
I've seen it before.
Okay, so graffiti has tons of lines and shapes. That's why I wanted to review that with you. So I need your voices off real quick so I can go over this. I'm going to tell you all the steps, and then I know it's going to be a little frustrating because this is kind of hard. So I'm going to tell you all the steps, and then I will come around and I will help you. And then this video, if it's working that I'm making, will be on Google Classroom. So next time if you need help, you can watch the video again and see what we did. So these people all did the word art. You guys are going to be doing your name. So you could leave the name the way I wrote it, or you can flip it over and write the name how you want to. But in order to make graffiti work really well, you have to do it big, and you need to spread your letters out. So if you have a hard time with that, you want to just use my letters. So as you can see, look, there is no right or wrong way to do graffiti. You might do it one way, your neighbor might do it a different way, but there is a way to make it look super awesome if you've never done it before. So before I show you how to do it, graffiti is what? What is graffiti? In case you never heard that word before. Justin, what is graffiti?
People vandalizing things.
Oh my gosh, he used the word vandalize. That is sometimes the case. It doesn't have to be the case. We are not vandalizing anything today. But what else is graffiti, Lily? Or Lil, sorry. Like this one, it might be on a building sometimes. That's sometimes true, Kaden.
It's a bunch of colors that show words, show pictures, and some people put them on paper and spray paint them.
Okay, yeah. So most of the time you see graffiti, it's like spray painted onto something. That is called illegal graffiti if they don't ask for permission. And you should never ever do that. It is very much illegal. You'll go to jail. Especially, have you ever seen illegal graffiti on a train that's on like the train tracks? Yeah. For whatever reason, that is a felony. That means that is a big deal. Like you're definitely going to jail if they catch you doing that on a train. So never am I ever telling you to do that. However, you could ask somebody, say, hey, I would like to do a really cool spray painted work of art on your building. And if you ask for permission, that is legal graffiti. You're allowed to do that. So the stuff I'm showing you is illegal graffiti. And we're doing legal graffiti because you're not vandalizing anything. So graffiti usually has lots of shapes and funky lines like this. And usually there's a word involved. But sometimes the word is so distorted with the funky lines and shapes that it becomes abstract, and sometimes you can't even really see the letters anymore. This one, can you read this one?
Yeah.
What does it say?
Represent.
It says respect. I like the word represent too. This one says respect. You can kind of tell a little bit more easily. Please don't distract Justin. And then this one, I'm not even. Do you guys know what this one says? I honestly am not sure because it's so abstracted, and that's sometimes the point. So they make it sometimes so you can't read it. These two are a little bit in between. There's a lot of crazy shapes going on. These are more abstract. I'm not sure what these say. There's a word the. Do you guys see the word the here? Yeah. That's the only thing I can tell for sure. I think this is an ASH. It's like Ash or something.
Why did they make it where you can't read it?
That's just part of the style. It's taking letters and changing the lines and the shapes in an interesting way that sometimes it becomes abstract. So that's kind of what we are doing. So we are going to vandalize our portfolio today by making graffiti names. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna watch me first, and then if you need help, you guys see my little screen? And I like to vary them. So maybe some are big, some are small, but it fills the whole space. That's one of our elements of art is space. So now that I have my letters on there, we're going to start by making kind of like block letters. Raise your hand if you've made block letters before. Okay, some of you. Bubble letters?
Yes.
Okay, kind of the same thing. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do that a little bit differently to make it a little bit more abstract. So do you guys see how I wrote this in pencil? I'm going to be erasing this later, so I'm not going to push down hard. Okay, so say that with me. Draw light till you know it's right.
Draw light till you know it's
That's something we do in 5th grade a lot is we erase our pencil marks, so do not push down really hard. All right, so do you guys see my M? Let's start there. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw a bunch of rectangles. Raise your hand if you know how to draw a rectangle. Sweet. Okay, so do you guys see this line right here? Your letter is going to be a little different, but what we're going to do is we're going to cover this line with a rectangle. I know this is kind of like doing block letters, but different. So that is my first rectangle. It could be bigger than that. It could be longer than that. Now this line also needs a rectangle. I'm going to make this rectangle a little bit funkier looking. And I'm going to cover the second line. You see that second line now is covered? Now I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And my rectangles are going to start to overlap. Do you see how they're overlapping? I'm not worried about, I don't know what it's going to look like when I'm done. This is one of those fun projects where you just kind of see what happens at the end. And now I have this line that gets another rectangle. So maybe this one has more jaggedy edges. So do you guys see how my lines are kind of slanted? That's kind of my artist style. That's just kind of what's happening. You might want to make yours more perfectly straight. I don't know. So then what's going to happen, I'm going to do that with all of my letters. And then Ryan, this is a good way for me to remember your names. Ryan, will you hand me one of those Sharpies? I'm kind of stuck back here, aren't I? Thank you. So now what we're going to do is we're going to outline the edge of our rectangles. And let's see how this M turned out. So see how these guys bump into each other? I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to go around the outside edge of these funky rectangles I made around my M. Going around the outside. Like that. Then who's got an eraser I can borrow? Let's see what this M's going to turn out looking like without all these ugly pens. Thank you. You guys are also helpful. Go back and forth, erase the inside. And that is my graffiti style M that I came up with. Okay? All right, let's do the R together. All right? So that was my M. Does that kind of make sense how I made that? Okay, this is new for a lot of you. So however it turns out, it's how it turns out. All right, this time my R is going to bump into my M, and that's okay. So I'm going to make a big rectangle on the straight part of my R. See that? Here's where it gets tricky. This is curved. Uh-oh. So let's do the easy part first. Let's do this part that's straight. And then the curved part, I'm just going to make a rectangle here where it fits. Okay? And then I'm going to fill in this spot here with another rectangle. Like that. Now when I outline this one with my Sharpie, whenever I bump into the M, I'm going to stop and come out the other side. What is that called when they bump into each other? Anybody know? Nobody? Starts with an O. Overlapping. Thank you. Who said that? One of you guys said that. Good job. Oh, thank you, Scarlett. Okay, so now I did the outside of my R. What should I do with this hole in the middle? There's this. Do you guys see how there's a hole for the inside?
Yeah,
Look, do you guys see how I made a shape? We were talking about how sometimes you might accidentally make a shape. There's a rectangle, or not a rectangle, a triangle in here that I made on accident that I'm going to outline. And now that's starting to look like an R, and I can erase it. All right, so there is my graffiti R. You guys see how that? Woo! So now I can. Do you guys see how it's? I don't know what it's gonna look like. I just kind of try stuff and then see what happens. So that is how you do it. If you are ready to start slowly doing your letters one at a time, you may go for it. Remember to just do one letter at a time, one shape at a time, and I will be around to help you. This is the only step for today, so don't do any other things. We're just going to make our letters graffiti letters. S is probably the hardest one, so let's do this S together. But it's the same thing, Kaden. You're going to do the same thing with the S you do the C because it's curved. All right, so on this S, I'm going to make a rectangle here. I'm just making this up. So a rectangle fits there. And then a rectangle will fit right here. And then I can fit a rectangle here. Your letters might be more abstract than other people's letters. I'm going to make one maybe right here. And then I still have a little bit of my S left. I'll make one like this. And this looks crazy. So I'm going to outline the edge with the Sharpie and see what happens. So I'm going out around the outside. I'm going to outline the outside edges only, going slow. Uh-oh. I lost the connection. In the back. I'm just going around the outside, around the outside, around the outside. Boom. It still looks a little weird. Let's erase it. And there is my graffiti.